Hello, it's Siren. Welcome back. So, the year is 1969. For 5 years, terror has rained down on Northern California, courtesy of an unknown assailant who stalks lovers in secluded spots, fires a couple of shots into them, and then vanishes into the darkness. He was the Zodiac Killer, a mysterious murderer who sent a series of cryptic messages to police after his bloody deeds. These notes, now known as the Zodiac ciphers, still remain unsolved. But now, after decades of radio silence, a chilling new theory may finally solve the case. Before we get into it, let me ask you a question. What's the most haunting thing you've ever heard? Let me know in the comments. The Zodiac Killer was active between 1968 and 1969, terrorizing Northern California and leaving a path of blood and mystery in his wake. Although he had many victims, there were 5 murders and 1 non-fatal shooting that he claimed credit for through his cryptic letters. His modus operandi was simple, yet terrifying. He would approach couples parked in secluded areas, often isolated from prying eyes and populated by those looking for some alone time. However, this tranquility would be short-lived. The man known as the Zodiac fired at these innocent lovers, sending shockwaves through the community and leaving law enforcement baffled. To add to the horror, the killer didn't just strike and run. He left behind letters containing ciphers that teased the police and the public with hidden messages. It's said that he even predicted his future attacks in these messages, which only added to the sense of dread and foreboding in the area. There were 4 of these infamous ciphers: 408, 340, Z13, and Z32, each more perplexing than the last. Cipher 340 is the most infamous of them all. When it was first received by the police, it read, "I hope you are having luck catching me. I'm 1 step ahead of you. I was trailing you for quite some time before I let my first blood." The message ends with a series of seemingly random numbers and letters. In total, there were 340 characters. Hence the name of the cipher, 340. This cipher was like a taunt, a challenge thrown down by the killer. And it wasn't until 2020 that a high school student named David Arana, along with 2 Belgian cryptographers, finally cracked the code. The decoded message simply read, "With all the rules, regulations, and restrictions placed on you, you still cannot catch me." So while the 340 cipher was solved, the other 3 remain unsolved. In fact, after more than 5 decades, the Z13 and Z32 ciphers continue to frustrate cryptographers and true crime enthusiasts alike. Why haven't they been solved yet? Because they are tough. They are incredibly difficult to crack. The ciphers are written in a way that doesn't adhere to conventional encryption methods. Unlike many ciphers that use simple substitution or transposition techniques, the Zodiac Killer's messages seem almost indecipherable. Even basic frequency analysis, a method used to guess the most common letters in a cipher, doesn't work. Because the killer has scrambled the letters in a way that makes them appear random. But is it really random? That's where the new theory comes in. In a paper released recently, 2 French researchers put forth a radical idea. They claim that the solution to the cipher may lie not in traditional cryptography, but in something much more abstract and challenging. After carefully analyzing the Z13 cipher, these researchers, Jean-Paul and Clotilde de Raismes, proposed that it might not be a simple encryption at all, but rather an anomaly embedded within a visual or temporal framework. In other words, to decode the message, one needs more than just the letters and numbers presented. They need to consider the space around them, the temporal key. Now, this might sound a bit complicated, and that's because it is. Their hypothesis suggests that the cipher isn't just a linear sequence of characters, but holds a deeper, more complex meaning when viewed spatially and temporally. This could involve understanding the relationships between the positioning of letters, the spaces between them, and possibly other contextual factors like the time of the killings or the killer's state of mind. Let's take a closer look at the Z13 cipher, shall we? It reads ZBFJHKGDRQ. Now, how does one begin to crack something like this? Well, the usual methods don't seem to work. If you try the basic substitution method, for instance, you wouldn't find anything meaningful. But what if you consider the spaces between the letters? If we treat the letters as points and connect them in a certain order, we form polygons. And surprise, surprise, we discover that the edges of these polygons actually spell out a word. In this case, the word is clock. But why would the killer include a word like clock? Is it just a random choice? Not according to the researchers. They believe that words like clock hold the key to the entire cipher. In fact, they theorize that every single letter of the alphabet can be replaced by a noun. Applying this logic to the rest of the cipher, they were able to uncover another word, shadows. This leads us back to the beginning of the video. The human element. Who's behind all this? Who are these people willing to pore over cryptic messages from a serial killer? What drives them to seek answers where none have been found for decades? We should also mention that there are multiple people working on cracking the codes. For example, there's Sam Blake, an IT manager from Boston. He believes that the Zodiac case wasn't closed properly and that the surviving ciphers have yet to reveal their secrets. He started his own website called Inside the Mind of a Serial Killer. On this site, he presents his own deductions and theories about the Zodiac Killer based on his analysis of the available evidence. Another researcher, Lawrence Junker, is a retired computer programmer. He dedicated years of his life to cracking the Z32 cipher, believing that it holds important clues about the killer's identity. Both Blake and Junkers are driven by the desire for closure, not just for the sake of the mystery, but for the victims and their families who deserve answers. It's important to note that these individuals aren't doing this for notoriety or personal gain. Instead, they're motivated by a genuine thirst for knowledge and justice. In an age where true crime is often sensationalized, these individuals stand out as beacons of integrity and respect for the gravity of the subject matter. In the world of true crime, there are two types of breakthroughs, the ones we want and the ones we get. The former includes solving long-standing mysteries, putting killers behind bars, and bringing a semblance of peace to grieving families. The latter involves any new piece of information that sheds light on a case, no matter how small or indirect it might seem. And in the absence of official progress, these breakthroughs often come from the least expected sources, like teenagers or retirees. But what if the next breakthrough comes from an unexpected source? What if the solution to the Zodiac ciphers lies in a temporal key, a concept that's removed from traditional cryptography and delves into the more abstract realms of space-time and symbolism? The implications of such a discovery would be monumental. It would redefine our understanding of the Zodiac Killer and potentially lead to the first concrete break in the case in over 5 decades. However, it's not going to be easy. Decoding a temporal key will require a shift in perspective, a departure from the traditional methods that have so far proven unsuccessful. It will require looking at the ciphers in a completely new light, considering elements such as the placement of the letters, the timing of the killings, and the possible symbolism involved. It's a daunting task, but one that will undoubtedly push the boundaries of forensic science and criminal psychology. And who knows, maybe the answer is staring us in the face, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone with a fresh perspective to unlock it. Now, here's my question for you. What do you think these ciphers hide? Are we on the cusp of truly understanding the Zodiac's mind? Let me know in the comments below. Also, make sure to subscribe to my channel if you like these kind of videos. See you next time.